What's going down, Ellipsis Podcast Fam? What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome back to the podcast. You listening to the Ellipsis Podcast with Deja. I hope y'all had a good week. I am just vibing and riding on this week like nothing else and like nobody's business. I mean, this week has just been so restful and it literally has been so needed, y'all. So needed. Okay, I was hanging on by a thread. So had me a good old time. Went to the Nutcracker Market. Okay, had me, some little treats and all these different things. I had a great weekend. I had an absolute great weekend, and I hope you guys had a great week too. And if you haven't already, go ahead and grab your notebooks, your pens, your snacks, your pajamas, and your notepads because you already know it's about to get good. And today we are talking about the residue of unforgiveness. And this is a really heavy topic, especially for me. And so, going into this topic of the residue of unforgiveness, this is the part in our lives where we have forgiven. We have moved on, and it's been years, and we're in new things, we're in new relationships, we're in new opportunities, we're in different places of growth, in different seasons of our lives. And we start to move into new situations with, different people or new things. And then we encounter something that is familiar, something that we've been through before that tangles unforgiveness, and that residue that we thought we had forgiven and laid on the table and laid it all out was still there. And so what do we do with this residue of unforgiveness? I think people really think that when we go and we forgive people, this is something that we do one time and then we let it go. But when you forgive, it is something that you have to do consistently over and over again, every single day. It's not something that's just going to be done overnight. And then you have to understand, even though you forgive somebody, even though you have moved on, the hurt is still there. The pain is still there. That residue is still there, even after the person has apologized and said, I'm sorry. You still have to work on you. The places where you are hurt, the places where you are feeling that anger and that wall being built up brick by brick by brick. I know because that was me and still is. It still is. Don't think we're perfect now because we ain't perfect. No, and so for me, what I had to do was in this area of unforgiveness, I had to forgive every single day. I had to write it out. I had to talk it out. I mean, at one point, I got to the point where it was me and God. And me and God, I'm butting heads. He's not butting heads with me, but I'm butting heads with him because I'm so upset. And I had to give it to him and say, God, I don't know what to do with this. God, I've forgiven, but every once in a while, this still comes up. I don't want this residue. The one thing that you don't want to do is you don't want to get into a place of something new, a place where God's about to bless you and move you and heal you and push you into something that is new, taking in old residue of unforgiveness. You want to go in and you want to clean house, mop it, bleach it, do whatever you have to do to get that residue off. Because that residue can keep you from an open door. That residue can keep you from an opportunity because that old anger and that old unforgiveness comes up in the wrong situation with the wrong person because it's familiar. And the situation that you're in where you have to do it again and forgive again is familiar. And on top of how you're feeling at that moment, the old residue comes up. And now it's this huge overboiling teapot of emotions that could have been done and fixed in one conversation. But because you left the residue and you didn't go and you didn't take the time to heal yourself and to deal with you and your anger and everything that you were feeling, because you are in control of your own emotions. Yes, people do that to you. Yes, people put you in a position to feel these things, but they are your emotions that you have to deal with. And that is between you and God. And if you don't choose to deal with those emotions, they're not going to carry you. They're going to walk with you and be behind you like chains, going into these new doors that God's opening for you. And the last thing that you want to do walking into these new doors is having chains behind you from the past. That's the last thing that you need. So walking into these new doors, into these new opportunities, and into these new relationships, it is very important that you clean house. Because sometimes what God will do is he will allow the enemy to come in to try and because he trusts that you're going to make the right decision. So he gives the enemy permission. He goes, okay. He was like, I trust my child. Okay, you want to go ahead and test her, see if she's ready? I know she's ready, but go ahead. And then something will come your way out of nowhere, something that you've been done and dealt with for the past 4 to 5 years, and it just comes up out of nowhere. And all this anger that you thought you were just rid of, I mean, you have outgrown it, you have spiritually grown, and then all of a sudden you get put back in this situation, and you got all this anger, and you want to knuck if you buck on somebody. And I'm just being real because we've all been there. Okay. You got your hands behind your back and you go, whoa, okay, wait, let me reassess. Let me back up. Let me look at myself. Where the heck this come from? I got to walk away from you. Because you about to take my blessing from me and that ain't going to happen. And then God goes, oh, yep. See, I told you she was going to pass. But you have to understand and recognize when these tests come and ensure that you pass them. Because only then will you truly be ready for the challenges and for these new doors that open. Because you have to understand, just because you walk into these new doors don't mean it's a piece of cake. Okay. Yes, they come with blessings. Yes, these doors are amazing and they're going to give you insight to new areas and facets of your purpose. Yes, they're going to give you new ideas, new opportunities, new people, new friendships, new relationships, money. All these things will come with these new open doors that God's about to do for you. But just like Uncle Ben from Spider-Man, before he passed away, what did he say? And I'm just quoting him because it just relates and it's a great quote. With great power comes great responsibility. You can't expect to walk into these doors and not expect the enemy to bring new realms, okay, of challenges that you ain't never seen before. That's on a whole different level. You have to expect and understand what's going on and what's about to come your way, and have the gloves to be able to knock it out when it comes. And so the last thing you need is some small residue of unforgiveness getting in your way of you not being able to pass the test when it comes to a blessing that is for you that has to be delayed because you're not ready. That's the last thing we need in this season right now. I'm telling you right now. And I'm saying that from experience, because another thing that could happen when we are dealing with the residue of forgiveness is it can feel like it has control of us, has control of our anger, has control of how we're feeling emotionally, just all these different emotions that tend to come up. It literally allows the enemy to come in and have control of how we're feeling. And then it then becomes a distraction to the things and the missions and the assignments that God has given us to do. We're now distracted because we're so focused on these emotions of this old residue of unforgiveness that has now become up because we've never dealt with it. So now you're not feeling up to it. You're sad. You're angry. You're feeling depressed all of a sudden. So you decide that you want to stay home from going to this place or this venue or something that you were supposed to go to. And now you miss out on the opportunity because you got distracted by your own emotions because of the residue of the unforgiveness. So now you're stuck at home. Your opportunity is there. The Lord told you to go there. You had an assignment to do. But now because you're distracted by these emotions, you missed out on an opportunity, which was an open door. So now it's delayed. And now he has to bring it back around to your attention. But he can't do that until you go and you deal with the root and the residue of the unforgiveness. That is why I always say, when you truly are forgiving somebody, you have to do it every day. When you feel the anger come up, when you go, okay, I forgive them, the next day, I just want to pop that. Look, do it again. I forgive them. And keep doing it every day until it goes away. And even if you have to whisper it under your breath when you see that person in your face. And the last thing you want to do is breathe on them. Do it. And I'm laughing because it is something that I've literally had to go through. Y'all can do this, okay? Take it from somebody who's been through it. You can do it. But it is a daily thing. Don't think this is going to happen overnight, because it's not. It's not. And the best thing you can do to begin to clean house is to deal with these emotions as soon as they come up. Either give them to God, write it out, but don't bury it. We in the last podcast we talked about put down the gloves. This is also part of it, because a lot of times what happens is, and I don't know why we get this way with God, because we can get this way with people to where it's really difficult for us to be vulnerable. And we talked about this the other week in the podcast, but we can get to a point where we are so our walls are so up brick by brick. We built so many walls to where we even become, well, he can see us, but we feel like we putting up a wall with God brick by brick. And so it's even difficult for us to be vulnerable with God to where we don't even want to take what we're feeling to him, because we've let the residue run so deep. So not only has it gotten in the way of rekindling and refurbishing and creating new friendships and relationships, but now it's gotten in the way of the one person that sees all of you, who loves all of you, who can deal with everything that you have. Now you got to wall up with him, and he's there the whole time, but he's waiting for you. He's a gentleman. He's not going to tap you over and over and over again. He's going to say, I'm here. Come to me when you're ready. And he's going to wait because he's a gentleman. And the only person that's delaying it is you, because of the wall that you've built up, because you are so against being vulnerable, because you've been hurt so much. But God never hurt you. Whenever God allowed these things to happen, it was either positioning you, building you, or moving you into a place or a position that was going to grow you into who you're supposed to be, spiritually and for your purpose. And so, because I'm not going to lie, I've even had a moment where I've been angry at God. Angry. Completely angry. He had nothing to do with it. All he did was move and assess the way things needed to be moved. And I was livid. And I had to deal with that. Because the one person that I'm livid with is in control of not only my life and the things that come into it, and also the things that go out of it. And I'm upset with him. I ain't going nowhere. Because he is in control of everything that I do and the blessings that I receive. And if I'm upset with him and I have all these walls up, how can he expect to deal with me and move me if I'm not ready to talk to him? He's going to wait. And I'm going to stay in the position that I'm in until I'm ready to talk to him. And we going to sit and have a snack, and he's going to wait until I'm ready. But you're also delaying the things that you're supposed to be doing. The last thing you want to do is delay. I'm getting up in some of y'all houses today. I'm in y'all living room on the couch with my feet in the chair. And now I'm about to be in y'all laps. All right. So here we go. So now we've gotten past that part, but let's talk about the comfort. Some of us have the residue of unforgiveness because it's comfortable. It is the last thing that we have of that thing or that person that made the situation feel real, that made what we went through real. You can resonate that with the good times or the bad, but many of us resonate that with the good times. And since we no longer have that person or that thing, we lean on the comfort of the feeling of the anger. We lean on the comfort of the feeling of the sadness, because that's all we have left of them, because they are no longer in our lives. So now you're holding on to the residue of unforgiveness because you won't let go. Uh-oh. I'm in y'all laps today. And then at that point, like the podcast we talked about the other week, when we were talking about, putting down the gloves again and being in a different position. Now we're making a pit stop in a roundabout to the comfort. And now you have to go back and assess, did I let that person go? Why am I what kind of residue of unforgiveness is this? Is this because I truly have not forgiven them, and I need to go ahead and forgive again and again and again? Or do I like the feeling of the sadness? Do I like the feeling of the anger that this gives me, because it's all I have of them, and if I let them go, then they're truly out of my life and I have to finally move on? Oh yeah, we've all been there. Let's not be fake. Y'all know I'm raw and real and blunt to the point when it comes to stuff like this. Okay, I'm gonna be raw and real and to the point. You have to sit down and really truly diagnose and dissect what you are feeling. Write it out. That's the best advice I can give, is to write it out. I can't tell y'all how many journals I have. I have about 8 to 9 journals in my cabinet right now, just full of stuff. Okay? Stuff I ain't probably never will ever. I'll take it to the grave. I promise you I will. But you know what? Did I deal with those issues? Yes. Is it in that journal? Yes. Will I burn it later? Probably. No, I'm just kidding. But it's good. It's good to keep journals of these things that you are going through. Because not only do you get to document your growth, but you really get to look and take everything that's in your mental and look at it physically. And you then take it to God and go, okay, God, this is what I wrote down, but this is how I'm feeling mentally. Connect the two and then give it to God. But you have got to deal with it. You have got to deal with it. We are not going into these new open door seasons with balls and chains of residue that should have been wiped and bleached a long time ago. Don't poison your life by holding on to bitterness and unforgiveness. Because while you're sitting there soaking in the residue of those feelings and those emotions and that hurt and that pain that that person or that thing left you with, or that situation left you with, they are moved on, they are flourishing, and they are flying. God has dealt with them, and they are flying into the positions that they need to be in. And where are you? Where are you? Sitting in the same position, distracted, focused on emotions and residue of unforgiveness that you should have snatched up, bleached, cleaned house, and moved on so that you could be where you need to be for your open door season, for your purpose, and for your growth spiritually, mentally, and physically. So don't delay that no more. Today that ends. And there's even a scripture that even proves that when you forgive somebody, it does not always happen overnight. And those emotions will come up and you will have to do it again and again. It's Matthew 18:21-22. And it says, "Then Peter came to him and asked, 'Lord, how often should I forgive someone who sins against me? 7 times? No, not 7 times, but 70 times 7. 70 times 7. Okay, so that just proves that this is something that we have to do on a daily basis, if need to be done on a daily basis. And the only way you'll know that that residue is still there is if those emotions come up, either in new situations with the familiarity of the old ones, or the same situation, just things that are coming up in it, that haven't come up in a while. And there's another scripture that is very, very important. And it says, Romans 12:19, and that's to never take revenge. Leave that to the righteousness anger of God. For the scriptures say, I will take revenge. I will pay them back. A lot of times when we are dealing with that residue of unforgiveness, or just forgiveness and we haven't forgiven at all yet, we want revenge and we want it immediately. And in that moment, I ask you to check your heart. Because we are to love our enemies regardless of whether that is going to be rekindled or not. And you have to literally give those emotions and those feelings to God, because if you don't, the enemy will step in and you will sometimes make decisions that you will regret later down in life. That could have been resolved with a conversation. That could have been resolved with you giving it to God. That could have been resolved with you writing it down. But you decided to take revenge into your own hands because you were that angry. So I'm telling you to give that to God today. Don't let the shackles of the residue of unforgiveness hold you back any longer. And so I hope that blessed y'all. I hope that y'all are going to take that and run with it and apply it, because y'all know I got y'all. I got your backs. Okay. Sometimes I even got my own back, because sometimes some of these are for me. And so we going through this thing called life together. And I hope you guys have an amazing week. And I love y'all. And you have been listening to the Ellipsis Podcast with Deja Terry. I love you. And I will see y'all next week. Catch you in the next one. Bye, y'all.